Talk to me about the transition. I know you said y'all started out selling weed.
Mm-hmm.
Was it large shipments of weed? Was it nickel bags?
No,
how
of
much
course.
were we doing?
Back then, everything was, tray bags, nickel bags.
The
You got it
slogan,
in the vanilla
the
envelope.
slogan was joints and bags. That was the slogan back then.
Right, and it was in, you sold a yellow bag and a $5 bag, a nickel bag, what they called it back then. You might have got 15 or 16 joints out of one bag.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people would buy a bag, roll up joints and sell loose joints. That was the hustle back then for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they made their money. That's how folks made their money. But, as I mentioned, the mastermind, my brother, right? We might have been purchasing pounds, bagging it up, and then doling it out to individuals. And everybody made a certain amount of money off of each bag.
And let me just say this before we get real further into the conversation that we're having. Normally, Lance and I, we don't drop names because, as Lance may mention, this thing called statute of limitations. So you don't know what someone did on their own. So I use myself, for me to say someone's name, and God forbid if it strikes someone's psyche and say, oh, that's so-and-so. So that's one of the reasons why we don't get into name dropping. But like Lance may mention about Mr. Black, we can say that name because that name is known all over Queens.
And we touch on segments here and there.
Gotcha.
But that's the way it went. So it started off something small, and it morphed into something.
Okay, so before we talk about it morphing into something, your brother's the mastermind. He's the oldest. Y'all look up to him.
We all only 1 year apart.
Only
1 year.
stair steps.
Yeah. 1 year
Gotcha.
apart.
But there's truly the big brother aspect. Regardless of how old we are or not, there's the big brother aspect because it falls back to the family unit.
When did y'all realize you had a knack for this? Or when did your older brother realize, okay, we dabbling in this drug thing, we're selling weed, but we got a real knack for this. We can turn this into something much bigger.
It wasn't a knack or nothing like that. It was just that, we trying to help mom make ends meet, and when you got, a lot of individuals selling weed or whatever for you, ends are starting to meet quickly, and no one never told us, yo, stick with that. Don't, graduate and start doing this. One person did tell us that, may he rest in peace, brother named Skidbed. He was like, you know what, let's just everybody stay with this, because once we graduate and start selling heroin, coke, anything like that, then, we're going to lose most of our crew to the drug, to stick-ups, to prison. He was the only one that kind of said something, but it didn't really register. So it wasn't that we sat and had said, oh, we got a knack, we know how to do this. We know how to take this and turn it into an enterprise. We was just everybody trying to eat, and so you roll up and you like, yo, what up, Shawn? What's happening, man? Yo, man, listen, man. I hear y'all got that Acapulco Gold, that Panamanian Red. Those was the name of them back then. Like, listen, man, I'm trying to get on too, man. I'm trying to eat. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man, you can eat with us.
Yeah, I don't think it was, and this is just my thought, I don't think it was, and I'm just using the word think, but I don't think it was a goal set before us. Like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to achieve.
Yeah.
Things just fell into line.
Yeah. It wasn't a 5-year plan.
It just fell into line, like from one to another, to another, to another. It just fell in line. And then the people you were surrounded with just made it much easier. And then things start looking appealing. Then you may say, yo, I might be able to get a car 6 months from now. Then you get out of the tunnel vision, but there was no master plan. No master plan at all. Like, things just happened.
So we talking early 70s, mid 70s now, right? Crack is not big at this moment. It didn't even exist. This ain't the 80s.
Coke, listen, back then, Coke was a rich man's high.
That's it. A rich white man's high.
Exactly. So, you didn't even have too many people just sniffing Coke or whatever, that was considered to be rich man's high.
Okay, so how did y'all transition from weed into coke? And about what point did y'all transition?
So that didn't come till later on down the line, because heroin was always,
In the
the
hood.
preferred
Yep.
drug.
Mhm.
So it probably went from marijuana to heroin.
Okay, so talk to me about that transition.
I mean, it's just, a transition, one thing leading to another, because things happen, you got those little spurts of dry spell or whatever, like, we ain't had no weed in about 3 months or whatever. It's dried up, whatever, this and that. We got to do something else to make money.
I got a good one. You remember Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5?
Yep.
We're going to try something new. What you going to do? Try something else. Go for yourself. And as Lance made mention, if T was the mastermind, which is the oldest, was the mastermind, what he did, we fell in suit with it. Because it was chances literally that he may have been taken that opened the door and saw daylight much faster than the average. And I'll say that humbly, much faster than the average.
Things just kind of happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't like some major plan.
Sitting at the table like, yo, we're going to do this.
And 5 years from now, it just fell into place.
happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
I mean, and that's the way it usually happens on the
Yeah.
streets, which we know.
But you know what? The movies, and I'm glad the movies do mislead people, because there's no American dream in selling drugs. You don't get rich and get in the airplane like they did in Superfly and fly off to Neverland. It's not reality. It's a recipe for disaster.
And no kid, comes home from school or graduate and says, when you're growing up, you're saying, yo, I'm going to be a policeman. I'm going to be a fireman. I'm going to be a doctor. You got dreams like that. Nobody said, no, I'm going to be a drug dealer and I'm going to be the best at it. And nobody said that, So just realistically, things happen accidentally, but it still fell in line with just trying to make ends meet and help, my mom. And so, it morphed into something else. And, ultimately what this one brother told us eventually happened. We started losing a lot of our good friends, a lot of folks that came up with us in those ranks, to the drug itself, to prison.
And I want to get there because that's always a byproduct of the game that people don't take into consideration when they're starting out.
They never think of cause and effect.
No,
Never.
never. You see the money start coming in, the lifestyle of women, and you don't realize there's a lot of other things that come with this lifestyle.
Oh, a lot of things.
So before we get to that, you're making money with the weed. You graduate, you're moving on to the heroin. You're making a lot of money with the heroin.
It's always ups and downs.
Some say.
Yeah, it's always ups and downs. We'll just put it like that. It's just always ups and downs.
Yeah. In any walk of life, like it's like whatever life you're living, which consists of rules, code, and procedures, you have to understand that the sun does not always shine. You may have a total eclipse, and only those who's cut from a certain cloth can recover from a total eclipse, because total eclipse is total eclipse.
Yeah, so
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
There's ups and downs.
So ups and downs.
And so the reason why sometimes we kind of talk in riddles and things of that nature, because we're not trying to give nobody a roadmap. So, like I mentioned, this is a platform. And so we don't want to, influence our future leaders, our scholars. We don't want to influence them the wrong way. So we don't want them to go, oh, shit, that's how they did it. So we don't try to lay a map out there. Yeah. And so, cats could look at it and they'd be watching, we watching Shawn Prez. You got the Feurtado Brothers on it, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you got it? Write it down, this and that.
The foundation to destruction.
Yeah.
And that's an easy road to follow, especially in this day and time. But at the end of the day, for all of your listeners and your watchers, Klondike Cat always gets his mouse. Klondike Cat is a cartoon we grew up on. Klondike Cat, the cat was a federal agent. The mouse was named Savoir-Faire. Savoir-Faire is everywhere. He was the crook. Klondike Cat always got his mouse regardless. So what am I saying? Family, don't do it.
Right. So we not necessarily, and we understand there's a chronological order, but we're not going to give a roadmap.
And that's fine.
We're not going to.
I'm more interested in the story. That to me. So I have no problem.
Yeah.
And and what Lance is saying, the story is a very intriguing story. But if we sit down and tell a story without missing a beat, it's a roadmap.
Yeah, and so
it really is a roadmap.
I made mention to you that we lovers of life, and so we had a little knowledge about things because we came from a family of law enforcement and educators, so we knew a little bit about state law, but we didn't know about federal law. You know what I'm saying? And so we do understand, what we describe today as a form of modern day slavery, and that's that prison industrial complex. So we're not going to paint a picture to drive people down that road. We made our choices knowingly and willingly, and we live with whatever choice we made. With that being said, our soul is intact. And for the viewers, they know what that means. There's no compromising in us. You know what I'm saying?
And that's one of the reasons why I said we really not going to name drop, because there's snitching and then there's dry snitching. So when you speaking on something that took place that played a major role in a lot of people's lives, really not knowing what a person did out of your sight, and you start speaking their name, you're kind of putting them out there. And don't get me wrong, because the platform that we're on, a lot of people do get a little upset because we don't speak their names. Like, we don't speak your name because we love you. We don't speak your name because you may have a skeleton in the closet, and maybe by us speaking your name and paying homage, that skeleton may fall out and it all fall back us. And at the end of the day, no one's getting hurt on our watch.
So we're not going to give a roadmap.
Okay, and that's fair.
We got the utmost respect for your platform, your show, Shawn Prez himself, you know what I'm saying? Vlad TV, none but love. But we're not going to give a roadmap.
Fair enough.
Because we don't want nobody's blood on our hands.
And it's 100% understandable, especially what your mission is today.
Yes.
So we'll construct the interview exactly as you guys want it, in the sense of this is a cautionary tale, if anything. It's something, learn from us, but don't go this way.
It's definitely learn from us, from our mistakes, allow our mistakes to, uplift you.
Into which it should.
Right.
Into which it should. But you know what? Just to be fair, Lance and I have heard many occasions people say, yo, with the money y'all had, I could do 15, 20 years.
Okay, so let's stop there for a second.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
I want to talk about when money enters the game, right? When money enters the game. Y'all are down with the 7 crowns. When the type of money that you go from weed to now heroin stuff, the 7 crowns it's big, it's well respected.
Yeah, but so we don't want to misconstrue it, because us making decisions we made and the money we was making had nothing to do with the 7 crowns. That was the Feurtado Brothers. So it didn't really have.
Can you elaborate on that?
So in other words, it wasn't that the gang itself, the 7 crowns, was into this, criminal enterprise. No, we was just a gang. You know what I'm saying? And everybody in that gang, made their own decisions. I mean, we had a core, platform that we followed as far as what was our rules, codes, and procedures, and things the lines that we didn't step over, But, I'm not going to tell you how to get your money, So everybody hustled the way they hustled,
Yeah.
And you have so many different variations to hustling. You know what I'm saying? From Joshua's, that's pickpockets. From people that's going out and stealing clothes, people that are, going to the airport and stealing whole freight full of furniture. Everybody had different hustles.
I like the way you put it, because within the crew, there was not one big hustle.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was individuals that did their own thing, and if we need to, we'll come together to if there's a problem, we'll come together and speak about it. But as far as that life, it was, spread it out. It was not a big,
Right. It wasn't a gang decision.
nah.
Got you.
Right. So I just wanted to, so clarify so it was not misconstrued. No, it wasn't that, this is the direction that the 7 Crowns was going in.
Yeah.
No.
And then it's more than safe to say everyone that was a Crown didn't sell drugs. Everyone that was a Crown did not use drugs.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Everyone that was a Crown might have drunk some Wild Irish Rose.
But yeah,
so it was limitations to everything. What you did is what you did.